Alright, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome. We've got ourselves a fun one. This is A Mom So Evil Her Children Disowned Her in Court. The Case of KOURI RICHINS by Coffee House Crime. Now, you gotta be an evil, evil bitch for your own kids to say they don't want nothing to do with you. Let's see what the fuck she did, yeah?
Yes, I'm not breathing. He's cold. I need you to take a deep breath. What's
Okay, I think I know what's going on here.
going on? My husband. I should know my husband. I need you to confirm it for me. Is he not breathing?
That's what happened today.
My husband passed away unexpectedly.
Oh, this bitch.
Just beats to the dirty.
It's March 4th was
This is who it is.
for us, and
I forgot I forgot about this bitch's name. This is the one that wrote the kids book after killing her husband. Okay, we got one here, boys.
39. It completely took us all by shock.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Prove that KOURI RICHINS murdered Eric for his money and to get a fresh start at life.
Damn.
Hi folks, my name is Adrian, and it was on March the 4th, 2022, and inside a family home just outside of Park City in Utah that a truly horrifying nightmare was unfolding.
2022. Fuck, that was a while ago.
Inside that property, officers found 3 children, a panic-stricken mother, and at the center of it all, a 39-year-old man named Eric Richins, who was unresponsive in the bedroom. Paramedics did absolutely everything that they could, but unfortunately, Eric was too far gone to be
That
saved.
sucks.
The news was absolutely devastating for his entire and extended family, and for many of them, it was almost impossible to understand. In the months that followed, his wife KOURI would even publish a children's book about grief and loss in an effort to try to help them come to terms with his death.
Notice how he said publish.
Which of course sounds beautiful until investigators started to dig deeper into her profile and realized that
then it gets
KOURI
ugly.
wasn't just writing about grief, she could have actually been the one that created it. And trust me here, but you will really want to see what happened at her sentencing because it truly was unbelievable. Welcome back to Coffee House Crime, folk.
I don't know how unbelievable it can be. I mean, you kill somebody, you go to jail for it, right?
My name is
I'm hoping, anyway.
Adrian, and I post up to 2 times a week here, usually on stories around true crime. So, if that's your kind of thing, please do consider subscribing. Thank you. And I also
You heard the
sell
man.
coffee, so if you'd like to grab a bag, go to classifiedcoffeeco.com.
You see, here's a guy I'd rather, like, if I drank coffee, here's a guy I'd actually buy the fuck coffee from. You know, fuck Jeremy. That's what I say.
And so on that note, please grab yourself a coffee and let's get ready for the deep dive today. This is the case of KOURI RICHINS.
The case of KOURI RICHINS. Yep.
Welcome to Utah, folks.
Hi,
It's a state
Utah.
known for its red rock canyons, snow-covered mountains, Mormon roots, expensive ski towns, and apparently the rubber chicken industry.
Don't forget robbing Legos from old people. That's a very important thing Utah's known for right about now.
It's a beautiful state that is filled with many interesting and
Oh, on a note, how the hell do you get famous for making rubber chickens? Like, are they in that big a demand?
lucky people, and has high standards for safety too. Not exactly the kind of state that you'd expect elaborate crime stories to happen in, but unfortunately, here we are.
I don't know. This is usually the sort of place I would absolutely expect complicated stories. Like we've been looking at Dramatics videos. You know, usually the murders that happen in violent places are pretty fucking simple to understand. You know, this is where you expect the complicated shit.
Just outside of Park City sits the small mountain community of Camas, a place that is surrounded by open roads, cozy homes, and, of course, the Wasatch Mountains in the distance. The entire area is peaceful, picturesque, and exactly the kind of place where families move when they want space and safety. And on the surface, Eric and KOURI RICHINS did seem to have built exactly that kind of lifestyle. However, on the morning of March the 4th, 2022, all of that suddenly changed. It was around 3:20 that morning that KOURI dialed 911, and this is what she had to say.
911, what's the address of the emergency? My husband's not breathing. He's cold. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. I don't know. I was sleeping with my kid. Okay, I can't understand you. I need you to take a deep breath.
This bitch is a great actress. You know, maybe if she put her talents into that instead of trying to kill a motherfucker, she'd have a real good life going on right now.
What's going on? I don't know. I was sleeping in with my kids. I just came in the bed, did our bed, and I turned over, and he's cold. He's just cold. Who's cold? My husband. I keep the light on him. And he's not breathing? I need you to confirm it for me. Is he not breathing? No. Okay, can you do CPR? No, I don't know how. You don't know?
You don't know how, huh? You breathe into the mouth while holding the nose, like 3 or 4 times, and then you do the chest compressions, like 5 or 10 times, depending. I'm not sure if it's 5 or 10, but you keep repeating that until either the motherfucker wakes up or until emergency services get there. That's how you do that shit.
I'm gonna tell you how to. Are you willing to do CPR? Yeah. Okay.
To summarize, KOURI told dispatchers that her husband, Eric, was no longer breathing, and apparently, not only was he cold to the touch, but he no longer had a pulse. And when emergency responders arrived, they found him lying in the bedroom. This was the home of a modern family. Eric and KOURI were married, had 3 young sons together, and were otherwise living fairly ordinary lives.
They look alright.
Eric worked in masonry and construction, while KOURI was involved in real estate. And together, they looked like the kind of family that you'd hope to one day have.
They look like they're doing pretty good for themselves, honestly.
And together, they looked like the kind of family that you'd hope to one day have.
Yeah, real shit.
They had a nice house, adorable children, matching outfits, and a kitchen island that definitely cost more than my first car. So I'd say that they had the American dream, but with better countertops added. Now,
I know, right?
body cam footage that was retrieved on the night that Eric passed away, the house looked disturbingly ordinary. This was a family home that suddenly turned into emergency. And
Disturbingly ordinary. That's an interesting way to put it.
there were no signs of disturbance or struggle. This was just supposed to be another ordinary night for them.
Right.
Except, tragically, it wasn't. Police officers moved through the property's rooms while paramedics desperately tried to revive Eric. Meanwhile, KOURI could be seen standing nearby in emotional turmoil and allegedly was unable to process what was happening. She told the officers that while Eric was still seemingly okay, she made him a drink that night. My favorite drink, actually. A Moscow Mule. She would also claim that apparently one of her sons was having night terrors that evening, and so she left Eric in the bedroom while she slept next to their son to try and calm him down.
Okay, what the fuck is a Moscow Mule? Hold on a second. I'll look that up. I'm not really familiar with alcohol, so you'll have to forgive me. Moscow Mule. Let's see here. A classic cocktail made with vodka, ginger beer, and lime juice. Traditionally served in a copper mug over ice. That's not bad. Originating in LA, it was created to market Smirnoff vodka and cockable ginger beer. A little attempt to bring vodka to the masses, I guess.
And apparently, when she came back to the master bedroom, that is when she found her husband cold to the touch.
First name? Yeah, let me talk to you out here for a second. Let them do their work in there.
Yeah, let them do the work.
What happened today? when you say we were fine, what time did you see him when he was alert?
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, shout outs to the cops. They're being, you know, they're being appropriately respectful for what they think is an accidental or natural causes death. You know, they're not assuming anything. They're being very respectful. That's gonna change very soon, I think. Probably not tonight, but after a while.
Okay.
We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed.
What time did you guys go to bed?
9:30.
9:30.
9:30.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
And then what alerted you to him today, right now?
You know, when I just woke up, when I sleep with my kids, I'll wake up and I go back in my own bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just crawled over on his side.
And he was laying in bed? Okay.
He was on his back on the bed, and
Okay.
Now,
Alright.
the days and weeks after, and while they were trying to make sense of what precisely happened, Eric's death seemed to be painfully simple. That he went to bed one night and
And
passed
didn't wake
away
up, yeah.
without any reason or meaning. And those who were not close to the family simply saw KOURI as someone who was now left to try to pick up the pieces.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, people, people die just a natural causes just instantly all the time. You never really know. You know, there's no promise tomorrow, as the old saying goes, right? And it's better to just do stuff, you know? Whatever you could do, just, you know, fill your life with happiness, because you might die tomorrow. Especially if you're married to a bitch like this one, apparently.
A grieving woman who now also had to try and be there for her sons without falling apart. Because how do you even explain that to a child? How do you sit all three of them down and say that, unfortunately, your father is never coming home? Of course, this is the kind of grief that a lot of people struggle to put into words.
Yeah.
But you could say that KOURI actually did put them into words.
Did you now?
Jumping forward here, trust me, we'll go back to that in just a minute. But a year after Eric's death, she would post a book about grief and loss called Are You With Me? The book was about grief and losing someone that you love.
God damn, even this fucking cover looks generic as shit. Like, you got Eric up top, sticking out of the cloud, with, you know, your stock angel wing clip art. You got a generic looking kid.
And about still feeling connected to them even after they're gone. Of course, the target audience here was for children, as you can see
Very
from the
little
pictures
walking.
and language. Now, on the surface, this book sounds genuinely heartbreaking. But on the outside, this was about a widowed mother who was trying to convert her pain into something useful. This was a book to help her children deal with the loss that they were now facing.
Right.
And a way to help her find her own resolution. The book was moving, cathartic, and rather conveniently very, very marketable. In fact,
Yeah. It's almost like it was written by a professional.
just after publishing her book, KOURI would even apply to appear on local TV to talk about it. Now, we're going to take a proper look at this interview a little later on in this video,
Right.
because eventually it would explode into something far more. Because almost a year prior to that book being released, and about a week after Eric's death, his autopsy results finally came back.
Uh-oh.
And it turns out that he hadn't actually died from natural causes, meaning that this wasn't some random heart attack, and neither was it him just simply going to bed and never waking up. Something else had killed him, and as it would turn out, the secret was hiding right inside his body.
Oh. So the cops had been sitting on this for a minute. Just, you know, letting her live, letting her think she got away with it. Put out her little stupid ass book. And just sit there silently and just wait for the right moment. Oh, they had this bitch.
It was fentanyl. And I'm not talking about a small amount either, because when they quantified the amount inside his body, they realized that it was over 5 times the lethal dose. Now, as you can imagine,
That's a lot of fucking fentanyl. Like, it already doesn't take a lot of fentanyl to kill people, right? I'm gonna do another. I'm gonna do another little look here. Fentanyl lethal dose. All right. Fentanyl is schedule 2. 40%. 2 milligram is considered potentially lethal. So 2, 4, 6, 8. God damn, this homeboy had 10 milligrams. This motherfucker was marked for death, man. She wanted him gone.
This changes the story quite dramatically, because all of a sudden, this wasn't just a sad and unavoidable story, but instead was about a man who had been poisoned, and his wife, who was writing children's books about grief, was now looking incredibly suspicious.
I bet she was.
Was KOURI really a heartbroken wife who was trying to make sense of her husband's death, or was she doing something much, much colder? And speaking of, who precisely were Eric and KOURI to begin with? Born on May the 13th, 1982 in Bountiful, Utah, Eric was the eldest child in a rather close family.
Right.
Even from a young age, he was both responsible and hardworking, of course making his parents, Jean and Linda, extraordinarily proud.
I bet.
Growing up around the family cattle ranch, he spent long hours in the day helping his father haul hay. And it turns out that he loved those jobs too, because not only did he love to feed the animals, but he would also spend all of his time outdoors. Eric was
That seems fun.
loyal, deeply family-oriented, and very protective of the people that he loved. In essence, he was the kind of brother that everyone hopes for.
The kind of brother everyone wants, the kind of husband everyone wants, the kind of friend everyone wants. Dude seems hella chill.
People that he loved. In essence, he was the kind of brother that everyone hopes for. He also loved sports, hunting, archery, traveling, trucks, and simply goofing around.
Right.
Moving into his adulthood, Eric found himself as a businessman. After serving a 2-year mission in Mexico City, he would go on to build a very successful masonry business.
That's cool.
You could
That's
say
cool.
that he had a mind of bricks, blocks, and stone, but a heart of gold. Anyway, it was in the year 2009 that Eric met KOURI Darden at a local Home Depot.
Why does motherfucker look like he's trying to do a Popeye impression? What the fuck I want to know.
Apparently, everyone who knew her saw her as the store's most beautiful employee.
Right.
Now, at the time, KOURI was working as
Damn. Did this motherfucker pull a somehow on that bitch?
the store's most at a local Home Depot. Apparently, everyone who knew her saw her as the store's most beautiful employee, somehow. Now,
Damn. I mean, we coming in hardcore. It's not like oh, let's be honest here. You know, it's very infrequently that the crazy bitches are ugly, because the crazy ones can't afford to be ugly, and the ugly ones can't afford to be crazy, because you're not gonna get men like that. So, if she kind of looked like what she was on the inside, this probably wouldn't have happened.
at the time, KOURI was working as a cashier, which meant that Eric, who would often go there for his construction business, would often see her.
Right.
He was actually interested in KOURI far before he was brave enough to do anything about it. But eventually, he would have the courage to ask a friend to go up and ask for her number on his behalf.
Really? Really? That fucking shy? What is this, the 50s?
Smooth? No. Relatable? Yes. Painful?
Yeah.
It worked. Eric asked her out, the two hit it off, and before long, they were in love. By 2013, Eric and KOURI were married, and from the outside, it did look like the beginning of a busy and...
Damn! Wait a minute.
No. Relatable? Yes, painfully. And it worked. Eric asked her out, the two hit it off, and before long, they were in love. By 2013, Eric and KOURI were married.
Hold on a second. They met in 2009, right? 2009, 2010, 2011, 2000... 5 years. Isn't that kind of fast? At least I think. Maybe I'm crazy, but like, that seems a little bit fast.
and from the outside, it did look like the beginning of a busy, ambitious, and very Utah kind of family life. They eventually had kids, property, business plans, and a future that, from the outside, looked full of promise, at least for a while.
Yeah.
KOURI did seem like someone who was trying to chase a bigger and brighter version of herself. And after the two got together, her life appeared to turn into something much more ambitious. She would leave her cashier job at Home Depot and then move into real estate. Of course, with the ambition of trying to flip houses for profit. She would basically buy properties, renovate them, and then sell them for more money. Which of course would be very impressive if she actually did make a profit on them.
Ah, we got a little foreshadowing.
More on that later. But again, from the outside, she looked like a young mother who was building an impressive business.
Looks like everything's going good.
Between her and Eric, they had 3 lovely children, 2 growing businesses, a big Utah home, many animals around the property, and the kind of lifestyle that many people quietly aim for.
That dog was cute. You see that? You see that little guy on the bottom of the on the bottom there? Absolutely adorable dog.
The property and the kind of lifestyle that many people quietly aim for. However, as you've likely guessed already, the facade that the Richins family portrayed to those on the outside was very different to what was actually happening behind closed doors.
I bet.
Because, as it turns out, while Eric and KOURI may have looked like a busy, successful, and attractive couple that had everything together, there were actually many concerning things happening in the background.
Were there
It was
now?
actually becoming a huge issue within the family, and I'm not talking about the "we spend too much at Costco" kind.
Oh, here we go. Money is the root of all evil, as you know. And looks like it had a part here.
But something much, much deeper than that. As
Right.
you already know by now, KOURI was involved in real estate and had huge ambitions. But the problem is, those
Yep.
ambitions were not profitable at all. Actually, she had the financial intelligence of a raccoon in a mortgage office.
Hey, don't go insulting raccoons, man. They can do stuff, you know. They got some, they can be real smart in a way. They can help police find crack pipes and meth pipes and shit. You see that one fucking video? You know, raccoons are smart as fuck.
She really had no idea what she was doing, and soon enough, Eric began to notice. Now, over time, he became increasingly worried about her spending, her debts, and the way she made financial decisions.
Uh-oh.
And unfortunately, it gets even worse, because he would soon realize that she had actually been forging his signature on multiple documents.
You see, at that point, you need to start suing. Wife or no, I don't give a fuck. That is a bright red flag.
Usually for large loans taken out against his very own name, which I don't need to tell you is both illegal and extremely damaging towards trust.
Trust, reputation, the guy's business. Oh, it's damaging to some shit.
And unfortunately, this is where their marriage would slowly begin to deteriorate. KOURI had abused Eric's trust in a profound way.
Yep.
This was financially, morally, and legally damaging to her. You see, Eric had built a successful business of his own through many years of hard work. And by all accounts, he was very protective of what he had created.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just for himself, but of course for his 3 boys too.
Fair enough. I mean, fuck. I mean, construction is not an easy business to do. You know, you gotta make sure your work's up to code. You gotta make sure you got all the supplies, all the permits. It's a fucking pain in the ass. So yeah, if you make something out of it, fuck yeah, you're gonna be protective.
Not just for himself, but of course for his
For the kids, yeah.
He wanted all of his assets, his business, and his children's future to remain secure. And with the stuff that KOURI was trying to pull off, well, she was jeopardizing that for him.
Yep.
It was pretty obvious that Eric was the real breadwinner between the two of them. I mean, just look at their premarital agreement here. Even back in the year 2013, his business and assets were estimated to be worth around $2.7 million.
That's a big chunk of change. The intention is to give a fair, reasonable, adequate disclosure of the assets to the husband by category. Yeah. C and E. I wonder who the C is, and if they're still running the business today.
And as for KOURI, well, it was blank, which is totally fine, by the way, because
no, KOURI was with a K.
Eric truly was an outlier, and for many people, money really does not matter. However, for KOURI to come swooping in and then forge loans on his behalf, well,
yeah,
it was some really shady business. And as this trust between them slowly began to break down, Eric would take steps to try to protect himself. He
fair
changed
enough.
Parts of his estate planning, moved control of certain assets away from KOURI, and made decisions that quite clearly suggested that he no longer trusted her with the future that he had built. Which
fair enough.
honestly is a very dark place for a marriage to reach.
Dark as fuck, but at the same time, shuts up. He knew something was up. He knew something was up, and he was gonna make sure his kids had a good one, even if he wasn't there. You know. So hey, salute, homie.
Eric was essentially scared that KOURI would rip the carpet from beneath his feet.
Fair
And
enough.
according to his family, his concerns extended far past just money. Because before he died, he even told them that if anything ever happened to him, they should probably take a look at KOURI. So
He suspected she was gonna kill him, and he didn't leave. Dude, what the fuck?
I guess that brings us to the mansion, the catalyst of this case.
Right.
Because if there was one physical object that seemed to represent everything going wrong in KOURI's and Eric's marriage, it wasn't a wedding ring, a family photo, or even the Moscow Mule. It was a gigantic unfinished mansion found nearby in Midway. Now, this place was ridiculous.
Wait, unfinished? How the fuck? How are there cows in front already? Like, what, they just fucking, did somebody else buy this shit after the dude, died and they just started using it for cows?
Mansion found nearby in Midway. Now, this place was ridiculous. The property sat on nearly 9 acres of land, with
God.
buildings totaling more than 20,000 square feet.
A
And
lot.
if that wasn't enough already, it also had a 3,000 square foot guest house. The planned version of this home included 8 bedrooms, 11.5 bathrooms, a therapy pool, a full-sized pool, an exercise room, a golf simulator, an indoor volleyball court, and even a room for virtual reality.
That's a lot. Like, I know KOURI wasn't trying to do this shit.
Because apparently, when your finances are already on fire, of course, the logical next step is to buy a half-built palace with more bathrooms than a motorway service station. And it turns out that KOURI wanted it badly, because in her deluded, financially bankrupt mind, this was the big flip. This was the property that could not only clear her debts, but also take her real estate business to the very next level.
Okay, I see what's going on. This was abandoned or whatever, or maybe the guy who was originally making it foreclosed, and now she wants to try to do the flip. I can't imagine how much fucking money it would have cost to get this fucking place up and running. And then the question is, who the hell's gonna buy it? It's huge, so someone would have to have multiple millions of dollars. But it's in the middle of nowhere, so who the hell would buy it?
And apparently, the problem in front of it was Eric.
So that's why
Of course, we don't quite know what Eric thought when she proposed the idea, but I'm going to take a guess and believe that he thought that she was losing her marbles. Because honestly, what an absolutely moronic idea. He instead politely told her that this was probably too expensive for them.
Probably? Fuck me. Trying to get that thing up and running probably cost more than his business is worth.
Moronic idea. He instead politely told her that this was probably too expensive for them, which to be honest with you is a very valid concern.
Fair enough.
This house was a monstrosity. However, initially unknown to Eric, KOURI had actually started the process of buying it.
Oh.
Surveillance would later confirm that the deal was expected to reach around $2 million. However, Eric's family also believed that he was planning to tell KOURI that they would not go ahead with it. And this is where the story becomes extremely uncomfortable, because it turns out that KOURI was set to close on that deal on the very day that Eric died. And it gets...
Damn, talk about lining shit up. That's like straight line.
even worse, because despite him dying literally that same morning, she would still go ahead and close that deal anyway. In fact, it turns out that on the very same day as the house deal, and not even 24 hours after her husband had passed away, this video was recorded of KOURI celebrating with her family. I mean, honestly, how tone deaf can you be?
Oh, fuck. Who's the chick getting, I can only assume she's getting hammered because of the way she's acting. I don't drink, so I don't know what color a beer can, what color certain beer cans would be, but she's acting like she's drunk as shit.
This mansion was not just a strange post-death purchase either. It was actually part of a much bigger financial disaster, because according to later court documents, in the months leading up to Eric's death, KOURI's real estate company was buried under extremely high interest debt. Actually, on the day that Eric died, KOURI owed more than $1.8 million in debt.
Wait a minute. She was almost $2 million in debt, and she bought a $2 million shithole. Probably gonna need $2 or $4 million to fucking fix it. God damn, Eric was right. This bitch is crazy.
And the day after his death, and when she actually bought that mansion, that number climbed to nearly $5 million.
Yeah.
Now, when he was still alive, Eric obviously knew that things were going bad. In fact, it was back in the year 2020, and after he found out that she had been forging his signature for more than $250,000 of credit, that he went to an estate planning lawyer in an effort to try to protect himself and his children by making sure that KOURI would never be able to manage his property after his death.
Right.
It's not some small marital disagreement or even a we need to communicate better kind of situation, but a man.
Yeah, that is shit is nearing its end, and I am trying to protect my assets from this fucking psycho bitch. That's what that is.
Who is quite clearly drawing extremely defensive lines. It was at this point that Eric appointed his sister, Katie, to take over as agent and trustee of his estate, of course deliberately excluding KOURI in the process. And in addition to this, he would also remove KOURI as beneficiary from a $500,000 life insurance policy, which, unfortunately for her, she didn't realize until after he was dead. And
One last bit of intelligence. Make sure, she can't get that money. Make sure it goes to the kids. Very smart.
which, unfortunately for her, she didn't realize until after he was dead. And there was more to this story too, because it turns out that Eric had a $2 million buy-sell agreement that was tied to his share of the business. And he found out that about 2 months before his death that KOURI had logged into the account and then tried to make herself the sole beneficiary of this money. She actually had no idea, but his life insurance company notified Eric about this change, so he then discreetly changed it to his sister.
Damn. This bitch ruthless.
Another thing that KOURI would not realize until after he was dead. Talk about laughing from the grave. It turns out that Eric was way smarter than she is. So, by
Not hard.
2022, KOURI's business was drowning, the mansion deal was looming, Eric was refusing to play along, and she desperately needed his money. But the problem is that Eric was alive, and then, suddenly, he wasn't. And then, as we know, the very next day, she tried to close the deal on that mansion. And when investigators looked into Eric's health, they realized that there was another similar situation only a few weeks before he passed away on Valentine's Day. It was only 18 days prior that KOURI bought Eric his favorite sandwich from a local diner.
She poisoned the sandwich too, didn't she?
Which, of course, sounds sweet on the surface. But apparently, after taking just one bite of the sandwich, Eric immediately knew that something was wrong. And before he could even take the second, he broke out in hives and could hardly breathe. Now, Eric wasn't actually sure what was going on, but he initially confused it with some sort of allergic reaction.
Oh, if he'd have known.
And so, after injecting himself with an EpiPen and then downing a bottle of Benadryl, he got into bed and passed out. And of course, it was only after waking up that he thought maybe something else had happened.
That happened, yeah.
In fact, Eric was so suspicious of KOURI at this stage that he even told a friend later that day that he believed that maybe she had tried to poison him. So, it looks like this wasn't just some sort of weird one-off health scare from a sandwich, but actually a failed attempt made by KOURI. And of course,
shit, man, that's awful.
Of health scare from a sandwich, but actually a failed attempt made by KOURI. And of course, we should probably talk about the fentanyl. Because,
very important.
As it turns out, KOURI hadn't just randomly come into contact with it either. In fact, finding out where she got them was relatively easy, because she had been buying those pills from the family housekeeper only a few weeks before Eric had passed away.
What the why the hell? Did this housekeeper not have any idea? Like, drug dealers can go to hell to begin with, but what did this woman think that this bitch needed that much goddamn fentanyl for? Not anything else to cut into the fentanyl, just, nothing like that you cut the fentanyl into and make something to sell. No, just pure fuck fentanyl. What do you think was going to happen with that shit?
The timing of it was awful for her, actually, because after the Valentine's Day sandwich incident, she then went back to the housekeeper and asked for something stronger. And then, less than 3 weeks later, Eric was dead. Of fentanyl. It's safe to say that after investigators found out about each and every one of these details, they were no longer looking at KOURI with questions, but instead were silently preparing to lock her up. Now, according to KOURI, she claimed that she and Eric were celebrating the purchase of this Midway mansion, which, as we know, is a very strange claim to make now that we know that Eric was not actually interested.
No, it's not a strange story. It's an out and out fabrication. It is a lie. What we call bullshit around here.
So, in KOURI's version of events, they were celebrating a house that Eric didn't want, with money they didn't comfortably have, all while their marriage was apparently being held together with duct tape, debt, and bad vibes. She also claimed that she had made Eric a Moscow Mule that evening, which, on the surface, sounds like a normal, delicious drink. But who's to say that it didn't have one other ingredient in there? Of course, that being fentanyl. After that, she claims that Eric went to bed.
Well, how the fuck else was he gonna get the fentanyl? I mean, I imagine it wouldn't be that hard. Crush the shit up into a powder, salt bay that bitch in there, and stir until it dissolves. I mean, you say that like it was any other possibility coffee house crime. Come on now.
In there, of course, that being fentanyl. After that, she claims that Eric went to bed, that she fell asleep with her sick son in the other room, and then, a few hours later, she came back to find Eric unresponsive. Of course, as we know, Eric's toxicology report proves that he did not simply die in his sleep. Instead, his body contained around 5 times the lethal dose for fentanyl, the very same substance that the housekeeper now admits that KOURI had bought off of her.
Ooh.
And so, detectives now finally...
The housekeeper's ratting out. Housekeeper don't want to join KOURI over here in the big house. No. She wants as small a sentence as possible, and I don't fucking blame her. That's what you should do, is snitch like a motherfucker.
The housekeeper now admits that KOURI had bought off of her, and so detectives now finally knew that they had a case to build against KOURI. However, it would take an entire year after his death before they finally felt ready to take her down. By then, she had already created her book about the man that she murdered called Are You With Me, and even had the audacity to describe it as a heartwarming and reassuring book that gently guides children through the difficult experience of losing a loved one.
Damn, that shit got review bombed to hell after the murder accusation. I can see why, honestly. I wonder what happens now. I mean, I know you can't profit off of talking about the murder, But can she still make money off of this piece of shit? I mean, not that I imagine it's going to be doing a lot of sales anymore, but it's an interesting question, I think. Can she still profit off of this fucking book?
Written by a loving mother who personally faced this challenge. Don't worry, by the way, I'm not going to torture you through reading it, but the important thing for you to know here is that Goodreads rates her book at 1.6 out of 5 stars. And it's kind of obvious why. I was able to find an online version of it, and after skimming through it, I realized that, horrific murder aside, KOURI actually does write like a 5-year-old.
Oh!
Because she always seems to act like everybody else around her is stupid, without actually realizing that it's her who is the dumb one.
Come on. Okay, I'm gonna spoil a little bit. Book was ghostwritten, right?
Gigi, she then goes on, it's all about me. She writes a book about grief. The book is supposed to be a child's guide to grief, a child living through grief. Hold on, Gigi McKelvey. Joining me right now, Nate Eaton from East Idaho News. What about the book, Nate?
We did hear a lot about the book that KOURI RICHINS wrote after her husband died and how she went on a local television show to promote it. And we learned that this book about how to deal with grief was actually written by a ghostwriter. It wasn't even written by KOURI RICHINS. She hired someone to write the book for her and to illustrate the book. When she had gone on and said that she wrote it with her boys in mind to mourn their father, turns out that was a lie too.
She hired a ghostwriting firm to do this for her. So this wasn't one of those things where it's like she actually wrote something and that's the results. Honestly, the way we've described her so far, I don't think she could write shit at the level of a fucking 5-year-old. She probably burned the goddamn paper she tried to write. Set the computer. Turn the computer into a nuclear weapon the instant she opened LibreOffice, I'm sorry.
Everybody else around her is stupid, without actually realizing that it's her who is the dumb one. Anyway, KOURI was so proud that she had written a murder book that was comprehensive enough for children to understand it, that she actually reached out to Good Things Utah in desperate hopes that they would interview her. And
again, I'm going to assume that the ghostwriting firm didn't know that she killed the guy when they made the book. So maybe they'll call it a murder book. That's a little much.
she actually reached out to Good Things Utah in desperate hopes that they would interview her. And unfortunately, they would eventually shut her up by agreeing. It was in April 2023, about 1 year after her husband passed away, that her interview aired. And this is what she had to say.
My husband passed away unexpectedly last year, so it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us, and he was 39. It completely took us all by shock. And we have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6. And, you know, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the...
Her kids and her. Remember, this was ghostwritten. Her kids and her.
You know, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, and, you know, hoping that it can kind of help other kids, you know.
What in the public access fuck is this?
You know, find happiness some way or another.
By the way, in the space of less than 5.5 minutes, KOURI would say "you know" 39 times, which I guess is what happens when your mouth keeps moving, but your brain has already left the interview.
Come on now. There's a lot of people do that. You know, not the smartest people in the world, but not the dumbest either. I have pauses myself because I try to gather my thoughts and shit, right? But like, that is the least of her issues. Let's take the topic. Come on now.
Which I guess is what happens when your mouth keeps moving, but your brain has already left the interview. Actually, I don't think it ever arrived.
Woo!
You know.
Homeboy's got some fire. I like this.
By now, this entire story was starting to become a joke, really. But thankfully, less than 1 month after this interview was aired, KOURI would finally be arrested on suspicion of murder. However, if you thought this story had enough nonsense to it already, we unfortunately aren't finished.
Well, every joke needs a punchline. Every joke needs a punchline, so let's get to it.
So, how precisely do I word this? Well, because Eric's sister Katie was appointed to be in charge of his estate and all of his money in the event of his death,
right?
But KOURI wasn't aware of it. KOURI would then go on to make the insane decision to try to sue Katie for all that she was worth. However, after KOURI was arrested, that's when Katie decided to fire back, instead trying to sue KOURI for a total of $13 million.
Where the fuck is this dumb bitch gonna get $13 million? Oh, well, we having fun now, I see.
So, by the time this case reached trial, the tension wasn't merely just criminal, but a full-blown war between KOURI and the rest of Eric's family. And that is when officers found a very strange handwritten note. So, while KOURI was in jail and still waiting for her trial to begin, deputies would discover a handwritten note in her cell that would soon become infamously known as the Walk the Dog letter.
But take vague notes so you remember. This guy saying even if the gummies have fentanyl. Oh, I was talking. I did a recent dramatic react, right? And I mentioned self-snitching being a large problem among a lot of these drill rap gangster type people, right? This should show you everything you need to know. It's not exclusive to those to that group of people. There are a lot of dumb fucking people who will leave things just out there and then be surprised when the cops use it against them. Like, why would you not destroy this, right? Then again, this bitch is stupid, so I guess there's that.
If the title wasn't suspicious enough already, this letter showed KOURI instructing her mother about what her brother should say to investigators. She actually suggested to her brother that he make up some random story where Eric supposedly ordered fentanyl from Mexico, which of course was simply to try to remove herself from the leading theory that fentanyl entered his system via the Moscow Mule that she had given him. So, in short, she was trying to shape a witness testimony from behind bars, which you may have already realized.
Oh, she wrote this behind bars. She's dumb as hell. And then she tried to make it sound like homeboy was trying to kill herself. Come on. He wasn't trying to kill himself. You killed him, bitch.
Is deeply illegal. And I think this became one of the broader problems for KOURI, because every time the story seemed like it might settle, there would always be this new additional detail that would just make her look worse. The book made her look strange, the money made her look desperate, the mansion made her look reckless, the fentanyl made her look terrifying, and the letter made her look like she was still trying to control the narrative even from behind bars. So, if I...
No, that all just makes her look like a fucking stupid bitch. That's what that makes her look like. Although, this is like the final boss of stupid. Like, what? Let me tell you something. I've watched enough shows to know that whatever communications you make in the prison is monitored, right? Your phone calls, your letters, everything gets monitored and looked at, so so they know that you're not trying to do anything crazy while you're in there. And it turns out she was
still trying to control the narrative even from behind bars. So, if I were the jury, I know exactly how I would feel about her.
In this opening statement, I will summarize for you some of the evidence that the state will present over the next few days, perhaps weeks, so that you have a framework to assemble and analyze all of the evidence. The evidence will prove that KOURI Richins murdered Eric for his money and to get a fresh start at life.
Fresh start, huh? So what would happen when, not if, when that whole mansion thing fails? Were you gonna put life insurance policies on the kids and off them too?
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
By the time KOURI eventually reached her trial, both sides would have very different versions of the same marriage. The prosecution would argue that KOURI was drowning financially, was desperate for the mansion deal, was angry that Eric had cut her out of control, and was convinced that his death would somehow unlock the life that she wanted. But the defense would argue that all of this was circumstantial, that investigators had tunnel vision, and that there was, in fact, no direct video or evidence of KOURI actually putting fentanyl into Eric's drink.
Oh, no shit, bitch. No shit. Like, I have nothing but respect for defense attorneys because, you know, a lot of the time they get dealt shit hands, right? Everyone is entitled to competent counsel, as you know. So more than a few times you'll have situations where a defense attorney has to defend somebody who is fucking obviously guilty. Like, they did the shit, dead to rights. But the lawyer can't just be like, yeah, I got nothing. Fucking fry the bitch. You know, he's got to try. Especially, you know, I'm sure privately he told her to plea out, but, you know, she probably said, no, we going. And it's like, all right, you know, we're going to go. And homeboy tried his best. Probably went home after that to a fucking whole bottle of vodka. Didn't even mix it. Fuck it.
2 shots of vodka. 1 shot of melon liqueur.
They also questioned the credibility of the housekeeper, challenged all of the evidence available, and even suggested that maybe Eric had obtained and taken the fentanyl himself.
You mean that narrative that she was trying to establish from behind bars in that walk the dog letter?
But in the end, the jury did not buy her story, and in March of 2026, KOURI Richins was officially found guilty of murdering Eric. She was also found guilty of attempted murder connected to the Valentine's Day incident and all other charges. That, of course, including insurance fraud and forgery.
She's going forever. She's never coming back. That's what that is.
So, naturally, after the verdict was read out, sentencing would happen around 2 months later, which at the time of recording this video was only 2 days ago. It was actually quite surprising for me to realize that all 3 of their children decided to give their own victim impact statement.
Ooh! Oh. They're not even teenagers yet. This is gonna be bad, man.
And I was also surprised at how badly they destroyed KOURI. So, with all 3 of their victim impact statements being read out by their own separate therapists, I can thankfully share these statements with you today. And let me just say, it's a really hard watch.
After my dad died, KOURI would put us in the basement while she was with the neighbor. I felt scared because I thought something really bad was happening again.
Wait. Put them in the... Oh. So she's abusing the kids too now. Alright. Oh, so she's stupid and heartless. Oh, Jesus Christ. The hole just keeps getting deeper. Like, you scrape the bottom of the barrel and you just find more barrel.
She would take me to places that smelled really bad. Everything she did made me feel uncomfortable. When someone talks about KOURI, it makes me feel hateful and ashamed. She took away my dad. I want her to go to prison forever. If she got out, I would be so scared, really mad, and I wouldn't want to go with her anywhere. Once she is gone, I will feel happy, and I will feel safer and relaxed, and trust people more.
You took away my dad for no reason other than greed, and you only cared about yourself and your stupid boyfriends. You were not caring and watching.
Wait a minute. Boyfriends is in plural? Plural boyfriends. So after he died, she was fucking around too. Oh man, those kids, no wonder those kids hate her fucking guts. Holy shit.
Yourself and your stupid boyfriends. You were not caring and watching over me and my brothers. You were not concerned about our health. You made us watch videos of children starving in war areas. You wanted to scare us into eating something that wasn't cooked.
Oh, oh, fuck, man, fuck life in prison. Y'all know what she deserves. Straight the fuck up.
You wouldn't let our dog outside, and then the dog would pee inside. You created this problem, then you would smack my dog on the head as hard as you could. You wouldn't let me put my kitten in the garage for safety at night.
Oh, so now we got animal abuse. Fucking, like I said, man, just more barrel. There's endless barrel. Welcome to Olive Garden, where you can get any order with endless barrel.
And we found it eaten by raccoons the next day. You wouldn't let us turn on and use the heater lamp for the chickens and bunnies, and they froze to death. You made me paranoid about sleeping on my dad's side of the bed by saying I might die or get harmed when I was just...
And look at this bitch. She's got the nerve to act shocked. She got the nerve to act shocked when she did all this shit. And then she wants to make the kids worried that she might... Fuck off, man. Fuck this bitch. Straight the fuck up, man. Look at this bitch. Let me make this shit a little bigger. Hold on a second. I want you to look at the way this bitch acts when she hears that shit. Look.
Sleeping on my dad's side of the bed by saying I might die or get harmed when I was just trying to be close to my dad after you killed him.
You see that shit? This bitch has chutzpah. Like, holy shit. Like, she was trying to ruin them kids, man. And had all those, and did so much animal cruelty and so much child abuse. Wouldn't want to cook anything for the fucking kids. Like, holy shit.
I don't want you out of jail because I will not feel safe if you are out. You have never said sorry for anything that you have done to me and my brothers. I don't want you to hurt anyone again.
KOURI was always drunk or gone. I was always locked in my room. I can't remember, but I am pretty sure
I'm going to assume that these are unedited statements. That it's just what the kids wrote. And it's very telling that none of them say mom. None of them say mom. They all say KOURI. They hate this bitch. And they're going to hate this bitch for a very long time, I feel.
To me and my brothers. I don't want you to hurt anyone again.
KOURI was always drunk or gone. I was always locked in my room. I can't remember, but I am pretty sure the lock was on the outside. KOURI threatened she would kill my lizard because we didn't want to watch some weird show with her. I was sleeping, and then I went to get a drink of water, then went back to bed. And when I woke up shaking and Bailey called the ambulance and they came and I couldn't talk for a while, I think KOURI had something to do with it because she didn't call the ambulance.
No. I'm gonna hear that again. Hold the fucking phone.
And when I woke up shaking, and then I went to get a drink of water, then went back to bed. And when I woke up shaking and Bailey called the ambulance and they came and I couldn't talk for a while, I think KOURI had something to do with it because she didn't call the ambulance. She called Bailey, and Bailey called the ambulance.
Don't tell me she tried to kill the fucking kid. Good. I hope to God she at least had the decency not to try to. Everything else she's done. Please don't have tried to kill your kid. God, gee. How can anyone be this damn evil? This is fucking Saturday morning cartoon shit.
At the ER, KOURI resisted to have my blood drawn. And kids who usually have this kind of seizure is when they are a few months old to a year old. I learned later that KOURI bought more fentanyl and had it in the house when this happened.
Well, so much for that. She tried to kill the kid. She tried to kill the kid and didn't want the blood tests done because they would have shown the fentanyl. Fucking whore. I hope she gets raped every day in that prison until she dies. And I mean that in real life. Fuck Minecraft.
I think this is what happened. She did what she did to my dad in the living room. Ash would bring me food. KOURI would lock me up if I told her she was drunk. This happened pretty much daily. I feel angry that she locked me in my room. I am angry almost all my animals died. I am angry she threatened to kill them. I am angry she killed my dad. KOURI is always drunk. I want the judge to know my dad was a good person.
And she still acts like all this is a surprise. Like, bitch, you already got convicted of killing your husband. You lose all benefit of the fucking doubt. Like, real shit.
And I miss my dad. I miss my dad, but I do not miss how my life used to be. I don't miss KOURI, I will tell you that.
KOURI's selfishness and cruelty did not end with Eric's murder. In the time after Eric's death, KOURI has done nothing but isolate, manipulate, deceive, and do harm to those boys. Almost immediately after Eric died, she cut them off completely from our family, from Eric's family. The isolation was calculated and strategic. KOURI used the boys.
Wait! I'm getting tired of this bitch making faces. I'm getting so fucking tired of this bitch making. Oh!
Bargaining chips with my dad. She repeatedly threatened not to let him see his grandsons unless he could convince me, as Eric's trustee of his trust, to capitulate to her legal demands and give her all the trust assets. While isolating the boys, KOURI provided them with false and harmful information about me and my family.
It's safe to say that the words written by all three sons are by no small measure scathing towards their mother.
Yeah.
And it also reveals several new disgusting details about her. I mean, not only was she outed as someone who had very quickly moved on to other men immediately after Eric's death, but it turns out that she was abusive towards her own children and animals too.
And she tried to kill at least one of them. That is a very important fucking detail.
It's actually really rare that I feel this angry towards a person, because KOURI actually seems unreal. I mean, she was quite literally murdering everything in her path. Now, this next part wasn't actually spoken out aloud in court, but
it gets worse. Okay.
Everything in her path. Now, this next part wasn't actually spoken out aloud in court, but her children are suggesting an alternate version of what actually happened on the night that Eric died. They claim that KOURI never actually slept with any of them that night, but instead she locked herself in the master bedroom with Eric and turned the TV up so loud that nobody could hear him dying. And when they tried to unlock the bedroom door with a broom and key, she actually screamed at them to go away. And the crazy thing is that her oldest son Carter even believes that she also poisoned him too.
KOURI RICHINS' bizarre rant at trial. Even though she did not take the stand, when it came to sentencing, boy, she let loose. Listen.
My sweet baby boys, I know that today you don't want to speak to me, have a relationship with me, or you may think you hate me, and that's okay. I will never be angry at you for your feelings. When the day comes that you're ready, I will be here for you, waiting for you, and loving you. Secrets diminish self-respect. They lose trust. They make us lose ourselves. I fell in love with someone who wasn't your dad. Your dad fell in love with someone who wasn't me. I did things behind your dad's back. He did things behind mine. Don't keep secrets. Always put your spouse first. Your dad and I didn't always do this, but don't be like us in that aspect. We made mistakes that I know I regret, and I'm sure if he were here today, he would say that there are a few things he regrets as well. Our love was enough to protect each other, even though it may cost us everything. Love can make you lose your
yourself. Sometimes it makes you do things you know you shouldn't, but knowing it's not wrong at the same time. Because your spouse is your person, your love is enough. Admit when you make a mistake, even when it's embarrassing or humiliating, even when it can ruin relationships, careers, or your integrity. Be honest with yourself and those you need to. But never apologize for something you didn't do. Never admit to something you didn't do. And never beg for mercy for something you didn't do. Don't take the easy way out. So sorry you boys are being pulled through the middle of this. It's absolute chaos. Between two families fighting that both love you so very much. Trust and assets, our home, none of it matters. You boys are what matter. I'm sorry that 8 people from a jury who have never met you or me or our family had the right to determine our future. And they did that in less than 3 hours.
Seriously, this woman is a sociopath. Now,
Yep.
I'm going to keep the next section short because I don't think she deserves any more time here. But it's kind of obvious what happened to this horrible woman during sentencing. Really, there was no alternative path than to get life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Well, does Utah have the death penalty? Because, quite frankly, if this bitch didn't get it, then nobody can get it. Like, real shit.
KOURI RICHINS was convicted unanimously and beyond a reasonable doubt of attempting to murder Eric Richins, her husband, and the father of their 3 children. And then, having failed in her first effort of spending the next 17 days not changing course, but doubling down, preparing to try again, and ultimately completing the act through the administration of poison. And for what? Money. All for pecuniary gain.
Yep.
Accordingly, Ms. Richins, based on your conviction on count 1, first-degree felony aggravated murder, the court hereby sentences you to life without parole.
I think one of the horrible things about this case is not just that Eric Richins was tragically murdered, but also that after he died, his death became part of KOURI's public image and brand. In a way, this was a story that was made from a story and an image. It's obvious to me that Eric was a devoted and loving father who was known for helping his friends and family, which, in the end, is precisely the opposite treatment to what he got from his so-called wife. But focusing on him, Eric was someone who loved fully, laughed loudly, worked relentlessly, and lived as though the next adventure was always just around the corner. It is absolutely tragic that he had the foresight to tell friends and family that if something ever happened to him, they should take a good hard look at KOURI.
Hey, he tried to protect his kids as much as he could. And, you know, I'm glad they didn't get killed. I'm glad that they have a future thanks to him. And all the work he put in to make sure that this slimy bitch didn't get that money. And I really hope things turn out better for them. God, you know what? I'm kind of glad she didn't get death. Because, you know, she doesn't deserve to be in a special part of a prison. You know, I'm not sure how death row is handled if they put those people apart from the general population, but oh, no, she looks pretty young. She deserves to spend every day of her life getting ridiculed, beat the fuck up, traded for cigarettes. You know, that's what she deserves. Real shit.
Because, in the end, and like always, he was right. And unfortunately, what most of us will remember from this horrible story is the mansion, the Moscow Mule, the terrible author, and an interview where, did most of the heavy lifting. You know what? It's actually quite rare to find someone like KOURI, because from the outside, it appears that she genuinely believes that everybody else is stupid, when in reality, she has no idea what she's talking about.
It's true. I mean, not only that, but there are very few people on this planet that have absolutely no redeeming qualities. Like you don't see that very often. She's a special kind of psycho, straight up.
Executes plans poorly, and honestly, just seems like a total raging narcissist. The ironic thing here is that regardless of whatever is actually going on in that deluded head of hers, it no longer matters, because KOURI is behind bars for the rest of her life, and there is nothing she can do about it.
Yep.
And on that note, I'm going to finish this story here today, folks, but thank you so much for making it this far, and I really do appreciate you staying around. Before I go, what do you think about this one? Because to me, this has to be one of the most insane stories that I've covered in a very long time.
But crazy.
I genuinely feel heartbroken, not just for Eric's family, but his 3 sons too. And all of this was over something so trivial and stupid. I genuinely can't believe people like KOURI exist. If you found this case interesting, then please do consider subscribing if you haven't yet, as it really does help the channel out. And of course, you can find me over on Spotify, Instagram, and all the other main social media platforms. Anyway, as always, I'll be back again next week for another video. However, until that moment arrives, please do remember to look after yourselves and, of course, each other. Thank you.
Real shit.
And goodbye.
That's real shit, man. You did good, man. You did good, Eric. Your kids are going to be in a much better place now. That was a... I guess you had to have a little bit of a laugh there, a little something to break the tension. All right, man. Yo, that was a good video. Very well made. I hope y'all had a good time. I know I did. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Much love to the RICHINS family. Much love to Coffee House Crime. And much love to y'all. God bless you.